Hi, I'm Marwan Badra, process leader in leather shop, interior trim area. And here I've got Jessica Dyer with me. We're here to talk about Industry 4.0 and the categoristic of smart factory within Industry 4.0.
Thank you, Marwan. Welcome, everybody. So today, firstly, I'd like to start off with social mobility and economics. So what the slide here shows us is that from the first industrial revolution, which I haven't included, we moved into the second industrial revolution, which went from these using power of steam into mechanical engineering led by steam. And then we had electricity introduced as well. So from here you can see that, sorry it's not very clear for some of you, the axis shows you the life expectancy over time, and then also the amount of money that people would have as a general income. So down here in 1870 and the second industrial revolution, we have most of these countries, which are all these little dots here, all collectively quite low down the life expectancy and wealth scenario. When we move into the third industrial revolution, we've got quite a jump, which is when automation came into production and computerised electrical power. So it showed its face a little bit in the second revolution, but then in the third it came up trumps, and then we saw a real increase across, I mean there's still quite a big spread there of the countries, the increase in finances and life expectancies of people's health and wealth improved at the same time. 4.0, we're currently still a little bit phasing into 4.0. We haven't quite managed it yet, especially at Rolls-Royce. But we have seen a gigantic increase again, and a lot of countries that were once, tiny little dots down here in the income range of 500, and life expectancy as low as 25, are now up here. So you've got Afghanistan, you're living a plus 60 years now as well. So with the industry improvements and the change of power sources and energy sources and how we manufacture and operate, we have increased our health and wealth in social mobility, basically. So a little bit more on that, sorry. Globally, it's been a positive economic growth. So as I said, increased life expectancy, wealth, and just general education is more accessible to people that perhaps weren't originally able to learn these skills to be able to manufacture or be involved with these things. And economic growth have changed that made it possible to be better when others become better. So there used to be a big gap in the poverty in the world, but actually in the last few years in the last 10 years, so from 2008, we have increased year on year in the amount of billionaires there are in the world. So it's not just in the Western society, it's across the whole globe. And poverty is increased with that as well, so the gap isn't becoming a bigger divide. Speaking of Rolls-Royce, it opens up new opportunities for a different audience of people. So new people with money that can afford our products may have different requirements or different things that they might expect from us, which gives us plenty of different things that we can try and engineer and design and manufacture. It also, however, comes with it new competitors, because the more people that learn and develop new skills, there also comes with that an opportunity for somebody to come and compete with us, which gives us that increasing demand to wow in the luxury market and stand alone and make sure that we maintain our position. And the future is still very much electrical, but melded with the artificial intelligence. From a leather shop perspective, so Marwan and I work in a leather shop, we would have to look at the availability of resources for the future, skilled workforces. So it's difficult, in my opinion, personally, I find it very difficult to hire sewing machinists over the last few years. It's a bit of a dying trade, and as we move on into this world of digitalisation, we find that the jobs are very much virtual and digital and computerised, and marketing and all those kind of skills are the ones that are coming through, but sewing isn't necessarily a big skill, because you can manufacture a cushion, a curtain, a basic requirement fabric with a machine. However, leather has that different skill set, so at the moment, maybe in the future. but we see globally there are more and more apprenticeship schemes coming through, especially in the UK. They're really pushing that to ensure that we have the right skill set, and just in general craftsmanship. So overall. Sorry, that way. Over to you, Mark.
So as just mentioned before, with the Industry 4.0 in terms of Rolls-Royce motor cars, we still right there. So we're talking about the aspects of communication, flexibility and quality control. So if we start from the communication point of it, me personally started 10 years ago. I have seen a shift change in terms of communication. It went from what we call a wired connections, i.e. desktop, we had it in fixed position, and we had a normal desk phone, into now a wireless communication. We all have mobile phones, we have laptop devices we can take everywhere with us, and remote access, we can work from anywhere within the business and outside the business. And instant messaging service that improved the communication so far over the last 10 years. However, further development is happening in the background. We also, in terms of communication, other new program is SharePoint. We all know about SharePoint within Rolls-Royce motor cars, and it helps greatly with communication. Flexibility, in terms of the flexibility in the smart factory, meaning trying to modernize the flexibility side of it. So what I've seen over the last 10 years, I started with a very small range of bespoke to a higher demand in bespoke now. So we started with a small team, and now we build in more bespoke cars, more people demanding the bespoke options, meaning we had to adapt and be flexible. Instead of building in a small area with a small team, is now integrated into a production area, so we can build some of the bespoke option within one line system and be flexible in that way. Quality control, quality techniques relevant to the smart factory in terms of quality control has evolved significantly over the last 10 years, and what you see is went from manual quality tools and methods, i.e. if we're talking about glue, for instance, we used to manually measure the glue to put into the machine, where now introduction of the robot, meaning all done by the machine. So the from quality perspective, the exact amount is being put into the machine. And then in inspection as well, is automated, so it does give you the right spray area over the square meter, so it gives you an 80 gram, for instance, over 1 square meter, and you guarantee that from a robot point of view. A grinding machine as well, so whereas before you used to write in a human, now it's been done with a program, done by the machine, so eliminated the errors, especially with these areas, is a specific, unique, critical safety areas. So the introduction of the machine in terms of quality control is absolutely vital for Rolls-Royce motor cars. Next slide, is it stuck?
Yeah.
Training, and talking about training in Industry 4.0, so the cyber-physical production system enhanced the training and the teaching and training experience for our associate and for our people within Rolls-Royce motor cars. So a numerous approach, mostly tailored for specific needs of companies, educational institutions, and have been developed, i.e. specific unique training program for our people was VPS, the production of the work, so we all had to be trained specifically and uniquely for that particular program, the introduction of it. Obviously the new cyber physical system, CPS, and Industry 4.0 designed for production related work and IT tasks aimed at technical personnel and managers in both commercial and educational organisation. And a big example of it is what we are here doing is the HNC in business management. So it's tailored around what the managers need, what the individual needs, etc. Obviously, a variety of other things tailored around new training such as line balancing and movement within that, and the assembly in terms of RFID connection, training on that, and then ordering system helps with ordering your the parts from the system from SAP and then get it in time. Sensors, the sensors in the Internet of Things features variety of sensors and computing devices, mechanical and digital machines. These devices have the ability to transfer data over the network without requiring a human to human or a human to computer interaction. So the spray robot, for example, from our point of view, it's got a wireless communication. It has to have a wireless communication between the spray robot, where it had wired before, now it's wireless, and the what we call a lamination machine. The reason being, we've got a 4-hour window between the two, and that particular information have to be sent between one another so they communicate of a wireless range to understand it is still within that window of lamination to gluing. And FRD sensor in assembly, the RFID system, it helps you tracking the cars from launch right the way through into F2 area. So it helps identify where the cars are at any point within assembly area. Wireless communication and helps to transfer the information between or power between 2 or more points. From our point of view here, I'm talking about the example at Rolls-Royce is the ST wrenches. ST wrenches is used not only in assembly in the leather shop as well. So ST wrenches helps to transfer the data of the torque for specific fixing into the database of each vehicle. So it helps in terms of traceability and understanding you reach the required torque from a safety point of view. Within the production area, so uses the energy wireless to transfer the data between the two. I've got another example from a leather shop perspective and assembly, the Cascade machine. This Cascade machine uses this particular low range wireless frequency, so it does transfer and code. For us is doors, for assembly is the car and variety of other things modular within the vehicles.
Thanks, Noel, and that leads quite nicely on to connectivity. So when you're talking about wireless connection within a workplace or smart factory, you need usually a router and a multitude of hubs to create that network. With long-term evolution advanced, it's all about having it more mobile and on demand, so you're connected to a much larger network through radio frequency waves. And we know this as 4G more commonly, so the main use of 4G at the moment is for our mobile telecommunications system. So we can contact each other within a matter of seconds to call in a problem, to call in a just any kind of communication you might need to get across around the factory very quickly or around the world, because we are part of a global network as BMW Group. This technology has developed through time. We started off with a very, very slow 2G in 1991, and we're currently on the 4G with the inbound 5G, so it is in some cities and countries at the moment 5G. However, it's not fully there and capable, but the difference in speed is phenomenal. So where we've got 4G at 2008 where it started, 15 megabytes per second, we're now on to 1 to 10 gigabytes per second. So the increase is just phenomenal. And when we're talking big data, what we need to share and store at the moment, that is just cutting our time, making it more productive. Buffering of videos, for instance, if you were to download a video, you wouldn't have any buffering time, it's done in seconds. So very, very good bit of technology. But as with anything, there's always risk and the unknown. And for a long time, when it did come out 2G, it was the fact that it's radiation and radio frequency. What's it doing to our health? What's it doing to our bodies? 5G is a stronger radio frequency, and it needs a better line of sight. So 4G doesn't really affect us, whereas 5G is a little bit unknown as to what damage it's actually going to be doing. So these cities that it's been implemented in, there's still a bit of an unknown risk at the moment as to how much damage it's doing as well as good. Within that, you've got the next phase as well, which is the Internet of Things. So my mouse, which clearly had a struggle today with its wireless connection, is technically an Internet of Things, or would be in the future. So we've got, refers to the billions of physical devices around the world that are now connected to the Internet, collecting and sharing data. So at the moment we can connect very easily from our mobile phones. The future ideal is we can connect all of our assets. So I can connect my mouse, I can connect the grinder machine, the spray robot, all together, so they're all talking together and communicating with each other without that human interface. Because there can be mistakes, there can be miscommunication, and investment in this is already humongous within the industry. So we've got 102.5 billion just in manufacturing operations since 2016. But as I say, this is still 4.0 moving on to 5.0. So it affects our transportation links, our product services, our consumer interface. So it's a big thing. And going back to what Marwan said about as well as smart factory, so the Internet of Things can enable us to manufacture more productively. It can ensure that we're agile, flexible, proactive in our data reporting and staying connected, so real-time response. Stop those defects before they become expensive or upsetting to our customers, and just be transparent with our information basically. It can improve quality control and safety as well. If you can understand what's going on with that machine before something happens, it's going to be far more beneficial.
So in cybersecurity system, in talking about authorization here, the authorization of the system is a security mechanism used to determine the user, the client privilege of access to the database within under FILES, including computer programs, file service, data and application features. Authorization is normally processed by authentication for user identification verification. So the system administrator, what we have when we apply for access to files and programs within our database, we've got system administrator either grant or deny access based on the need to use these files. Basically, from our point of view, a big example for that is our VPN. So VPN is the wireless or home connection and access to a variety of other files within the database. Change management. Near-term future manufacturing change will be technological terms of electrification and increased smart automation, but still critically coupled to continue with handcrafted bespoke elements. So what we're talking about in terms of change management, the big step we saw within Rolls-Royce is the introduction of strategy number 1, Pride and Pride Plus. Pride Plus, where the plan for future development of Rolls-Royce Motor Cars business were agreed, measured and funded for strategy implementation. And they were all secured with agreement from our board and our shareholder BMW Group. But variety of steps were taken in the sense of change management, such as the communication of what the change is, what the strategy is and what the change is happening, increase the awareness, optimize the process and create a new modern infrastructure by creating transparency, equip the employees with the necessary data from a quality data point of view and tools and techniques and methods, and the knowledge by training and monitoring the changes throughout. Other area standards helps within all of these is the international standards. The international standard of IC CN 6206 is basically talk about the standard, the safety of machinery standards. Talk about functional safety of electrification in terms of machines, electronic program things, etc. So it provides a requirement that applicable to the system, level design of all types of machinery, safety related electrical control system, and also for the design of non-complex subsystems or devices. Basically, is what we do with it links to the risk assessment, eradicate the risks, do a preventative measure, proactive measures, and in some cases you have to do a proactive stuff and preventative to eliminate the risk for the associates and then make it a safer working environment. Oh, it's me again. Okay. Professional association. Professional association is also means professional organization. It seeks to advance and promote future development in the workforce and the interest of the individual and the public as well as. RMC, Rolls-Royce Motor Cars have currently a good connection with a variety of firms, and more specific is mechanical engineering firm to help and aid future development in the engineering department sector. Voice controlled, here where the interface between the human and the machine become possible, using speech recognition to understand and answer question, and so they understand the command and answer the response with the correct the correct question. With RRMC, this function could be incorporated into our machineries, such as spray robot from leather shop perspective, from my experience, and grinding machine or ordering system, so we could incorporate these particular devices into it. Mass personalization, so from Rolls-Royce Motor Cars, I talked here about our bespoke in particular. So it delivers, Rolls-Royce Motor Cars, we deliver a unique and high value bespoke interior trim and seat feature. These features have an emphasis on innovation and craftsmanship. Rolls-Royce Motor Cars is a unique as your own fingerprint. So we, and dimension, form, space, and material. The drawing board is limitless, and customer are the architect of our business. However, going forward is trying to make the digitization part of our bespoke option, meaning there will be far greater option for our customer in the future with digitization into our bespoke program.
So I just wanted to touch on restructuring. So all of this new development that's coming through all these different industries, industrial revolutions, we have a responsibility to ensure that we restructure ourselves correctly. So that can be as basic as the communication and how we deliver that to our associates and to our customers as to what it is that we're changing, to ensure that we get their buy-in. We implement it effectively, because we can go and change something and it can cause chaos within the shop floor environment, which can be expensive. We need to make a good decision based on what should be autonomous. What do we need? So as I previously mentioned, the sewing side of things, at the moment, from a personal perspective, I can't see that being a skill that we can replicate through machinery. However, a basic operation of the cutting machine, which just needs to cut the shapes out for us, perfectly applicable to be autonomous. Physical restructuring and just general space and layout, what are we doing, and we have a responsibility to make sure we execute that properly. With that as well, you've got the future elements of it, and virtuality is at the moment still a bit unutilised as a operation or manufacturing system. It's a simulation of what could be, so it's used quite a lot in the medical environment, military, and gaming, so for the gamers out there. But we could use this to simulate that restructuring of our factory. If we could do it properly, make sure we've got that interaction of someone walking around a corridor. Is there enough space for them for their working environment? But at the moment it's still not quite what we want, whereas you've got augmented, which is an interactive with what's in front of you. So that's far more applicable to our business, and I think previously my colleagues have touched on this. So if you've got somebody that you need to train, i.e. a sewing machinist, you can have that operation in front of them, so they know exactly what element to pair with what thread to use, what type of leather, what process to use, and they don't have to go through a lot of paperwork to get that information. It's all there in front of them. It's interactive, it's more engaging, it's more fun, and they're less likely to forget and make a mistake. So a very much future element which will be beneficial. Also involved in all of these is the design element. So what does it look like for the future of the human designer with all of these different digitisation methods, artificial intelligence, all these great new things? What does that mean for that person that creates it all if it's going to just be done by a computer? Because they've got all that information, it's all historical and we don't need them anymore. Wrong. You have a new type of person that can then be available to become a designer. Somebody that wasn't necessarily creative but is able to use a computer effectively and the software that it involves with. So you're actually pulling a much larger amount of creativity into a potential product. You can eliminate the job loss worry side of things, because actually you can create more jobs from it. It becomes more productive, and there's endless possibilities. So where we are bespoke, we are Rolls-Royce, we always say you can have whatever you want, but how much can we actually really execute without this kind of artificial intelligence? Within that, I mean, you've got standards and regulations and legislation that we need to adhere to. And as you move on through all of these different standards, so recently we had a lot of the data doubled and tripled and quadrupled over year on year on year. There needed to be a responsible way of storing that data and making it accessible to a limited amount of people. So they introduced the law on GDPR. So data handling and accessibility was at utmost importance, and we all got training on that. And then you've got the drone side of things as well, so this new bit of technology that can now go up in quite freely. The European law decided that's it, we're going to make sure that we are incorporating this into our daily life quite quickly. So standards are massively important in regards to risk and making sure that the people are protected, they're safe, the fact that we are protecting our economic growth, because what we don't want to do is become one that declines after the most recent increase. We don't want to destroy it all. There's environmental factors, so is global warming, etc. And quality impacts. We don't want to start generating a product that's no good anymore. So one of the elements as well, so we had the IEC standard for machinery that was implemented when machinery started becoming the forefront of how we manufactured. With this, there'll be another one. So when augmented or virtuality comes in, there'll be another IEC standard, there'll be another ISO standard to ensure that we work within the right parameters to be responsible, basically. And it's going to be a key to any business success to ensure that we abide by rules. So that is the bulk of information that we've shared with you today. So Marwan, I'll let you take over first.
Just before we go to the conclusion bit, as Jess mentioned, with the digitalisation will help for the future development of our business. As is mentioned in this article, the Internet of Things platform can add additional capabilities to legacy machines. It can help and advance our machineries and in terms of safety, in terms of productivity and efficiency, etc. In conclusion, we have a conclusion. In conclusion, the future industry requires a flexibility and considerate communication. Flexibility in the sense of I spoke regarding bespoke. So flexibility in terms of incorporating the digitalization factor into our handcrafted bespoke elements, and then creates that flexibility, further flexibility option to our customers. Communication is vital, so enhance the communication elements within our business, go further digitized and to communicate with globally, not just within BMW Group, globally throughout the business. By combining the human and the machine through digitization, productivity will increase overall.
And yeah, just to summarise, I've ran through it all in quite a lot of detail, but Industry 5.0, it's coming, very much so. So AI, virtual and augmented reality and 5G, these are all things that we saw in sci-fi movies, they're coming at us now. So we need to get ready, make sure that we are ready for it socially, and that we are putting in the right laws to protect everybody, and be responsible with it. And one of the things that has come, this isn't new, but it's still very much in the forefront in the Engineer magazine, is the seamless connectivity between what we wear as well. So we might be taken over by robots, but we're still very much integrated with them. So you have smartware available at the moment, it's just the next level up from that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There's no questions. That was a very comprehensive and very well thought out presentation. Thank you very much.